Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth and welcome back to my garden and my greenhouse here in Northeast Arkansas. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I love interacting with you guys in the comments down below. So if you have any questions for me or advice or anything, make sure and drop it in the comment section down below. Some housekeeping items really quick. I want to say that the channel is growing rapidly, which is wonderful. I'm super grateful for that. It is so fun to see this gardening community coming together. But I wanted to mention too that I think it's something like 70% of people watching my videos have not subscribed. So if that's you, I wish you would subscribe because that would be wonderful. I don't post a ton, so as long as you turn that notification bell on, you will only see my face pop up on your phone once or twice a week, bringing you hopefully fun, educational, interesting garden content. It'd be great. All right, so let's get into today's video content. What we're doing is we are starting an educational series that I actually filmed a couple years ago on a previous channel, which I have since lost, unfortunately. Wah. But what we're going to do is every month we're going to get together at the start of the month and I'm going to share with you what you could be planting today for this month in Zone 7. So I know a lot of you guys may be watching me all around the US and you may not be in Zone 7, but I want to tell you that if you're not in Zone 7 and you've happened upon this video, you can do a quick little googly goggly search and say, what can I start in Zone 8? Today or in April or whatever. You will find a plethora of articles and videos and interesting information out there. But for my series, we're going to do Zone 7 because that's where I live. So today we're going to get into what can you plant or start to grow in Zone 7 in April. Yes, I'm a little bit behind, but don't worry. May will be on time. And this video will live in a playlist, which you can find in a link below. In case you come across this in later months and say it's September and you're wanting to know what you can plant in September, we're going to get this all filmed out for you guys all throughout 2024 so that you can always refer back to it. One thing to do in April, you guys, is time to bust out your bird feeders, okay? So we're going to go through not only what you can plant and grow, but what you should be doing as a gardener. So if you've got bird feeders or if you put them up or whatever, you need to pull them out, refill them. Birds are coming back home for the new the migration, and so it's time to get those things refilled. I've actually had mine filled for about a month and they're here and they're loving it. Hummingbirds have not returned yet, but we're being patient. And if yours are looking a little janky, give them a little wash. Come on, it's not difficult. You just hose them down with the water hose. Another thing you can be doing this time of year is you can be willy-nilly spreading flower seeds anywhere. So this is one thing I love to do randomly because a lot of gardening is controlling and it's starting at certain dates, measuring and watering and fertilizing and doing all these different things on a schedule to try and optimize your success. But to take a packet of annual flower seeds and literally just throw them anywhere is so fun. And as a perfect example, I have some that I did last year on the side of my front porch that I guess are perennials because they came up and got this big and they were green and that's all they did. And this year they've come back and they're 2.5 feet tall and they're budding up to flower and I have no idea what they are. So that is so fun. So I'm going to be doing that today myself, and I'm going to be taking a hummingbird flower mix variety packet and putting them a special place here in my cottage garden, but I can't wait to see what they do and what comes up. Quick reminder too, if you are growing grapes, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries in ground or in containers, research shows you want to fertilize them before they start putting on growth for the new year. So if you're growing them from last year or however old, you want to fertilize them now before they start putting on new growth because they need that energy to jump off the season. I personally do a water soluble liquid fertilizer once every month. So I will start that now and then it will be monthly ongoing. Now for a lot of people in April, you're still going to have a chance of a frost or a light frost, whatever. We personally here in Northeast Arkansas, we almost always have a cold snap very last week of April or first week of May. So because of that, because it's historically proven and it just happens every year, we take precautions because of that. So there's a lot of things I'm not going to be trying to transplant warm loving plants. So anyway, but what you can do in April is you can transplant cold, or you can direct sow cold loving plants. So I'm going to go through this list of everything that you could be direct sowing right now. If you've got your in-ground garden is ready, or you've got raised beds, or you've got a little place next to some roses where you want to do some edible landscaping, then you can pop these seeds directly in the ground right now. Beets, carrots, Swiss chard, kohlrabi. Do you eat kohlrabi? Does anybody like kohlrabi? Comment below, let me know. Cabbage, leaf lettuce, mustard greens, and collards. I love collards. Turnips, radishes, and spinach, bunching onions, and peas. Now when I say bunching onions, these are the ones that they're going to say on the package, bunching onions, and they come up and they look like green onions, like the little sticks of green, and you're going to harvest those tops, you're going to eat those. If you want onion bulbs, it's a different variety. You plant them in the fall, they overwinter, you harvest in the summer. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bunching onions, where you get like little green onions. Also, another thing you could be doing now, if you did not do it in March, because a lot of the old timers around here believe that you should do it in March, and that is starting potatoes. So if you're wanting to grow potatoes in ground or even in containers, you want to put them in the ground. You know, you've got a potato that's got some eyes on it, you cut it up into pieces. I'll probably do a whole video on that when I start mine, because I'm going to do them soon and I'm doing them in containers. But you're gonna plant those, and they take like a good, I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks for greens to really start coming up, because it's not real warm outside, but they can handle the temperature, but they're just kind of slower to start. So you can start them in March, or you can start them now in April, and you can actually, in zone 7, you can grow potatoes in ground anywhere from like February, I think, to like October, but they only need 90 days. So you've got like several different chances to get them going. So I'm probably just going to remind you every month that if you want to start potatoes, go ahead and get them going. Now, one thing that you can still be doing in April is starting seeds indoors, whether that's a greenhouse, or you've got like a tiny little greenhouse shelf, or you're doing it inside your house under grow lights or no grow lights, whatever. But the things you can be starting in April indoors are the things that really need the warmth of the soil and the sun in the summer to thrive. And again, that is tomatoes. Always tomatoes. And depending on the varieties, some of them take less time to harvest. So you can be starting tomatoes like every month for a while. You can be starting peppers still. Peppers, unlike tomatoes, they need a while to like in the warmth to really like grow and then fruit and then ripen. So you don't want to be waiting too long to start those. So you really want to get your peppers going, whether you have heat mats or not, get them going. Also, again, starting indoors for summer, we have okra and squash, cucumbers, melons, watermelons, and eggplants. So all of those things you can be starting indoors. I personally am not a fan of starting squash and watermelon in seed trays, because they, as well as cucumbers, have what they call like picky roots. Their roots don't like to be touched, which means if you start them in a seed pot and then you got to pot them up and then you got to transplant them, you're doing a lot of fondling over the first 4 to 6 weeks of their lives. Those plants just don't like that. So I actually love to direct sow those crops, but to each his own, and you can start them by seeds indoor. So if you want to give it a try, give it a try. If you by chance already have some brassicas growing in the ground, brassicas being broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, or kale. If you have any of those things growing in the ground already, which you can see my beds are not ready, we're in the process of a makeover project, but if you've got them growing in the ground and they're like even this big, get them covered. Cover your brassicas. If you want to actually have be able to grow a head that is worth harvesting and eating, you've got to cover them, because insects love them more than you do. Can you believe that? So you have got to get them covered with insect netting. Insect netting is not super expensive. You can find it on Amazon in a variety of different sizes. I'm pretty sure I have it linked on my Amazon storefront under my garden board, because I've been using it for years, and there have been times where I have haphazardly planted brassicas near, like, say, a tomato plant that was so huge that I could not cover the whole bed, and I have suffered because of that, because the insects will come in and literally, like, not only will you see them visually decimate your leaves on your broccoli and your cauliflower and your kale, but they'll actually get down in the heads of your cabbage. So until you actually harvest that head and go to like cutting it open and stuff, you don't realize that like insects have been living in it for like 2 months, which is gross. So they're just a variety of plants that insects love to eat. So, and they're actually, if you're wanting to protect some of your other plants from those kind of insects, you can grow like one plant, like say one broccoli in the corner of a raised bed to be a trap plant. And what that will do is it will attract all of the nasty insects to it and hopefully keep the insect population down on your other plants nearby that you're wanting to protect. But if you're going to be growing mixed veggies in a bed, then you want to research and Google companion planting, because some plants literally don't like to be beside each other. Okay, they're unhappy if their roots get anywhere near each other, so definitely check that out, because the opposite is true, that with companion planting there are some plants that love being near one another and they help each other to thrive even more. So, like, tiny example is marigolds planted next to tomatoes. They love each other. All right, last thing I want to touch on in this video is that if you have started seeds in March or maybe even February, now is going to be your time to be potting up. You want your seedlings to be like at least this tall, and they're doing well. You've probably gone through and maybe thinned some, but the reason that potting up in April is so important is because in May you're going to be transplanting your baby plants. But you can't just be like, hey, it's May 1st, I'm a transplant. You could, but your odds of success are going to go down. So what you want to do is plan ahead. So you're going to be growing your little baby plants in April, and at some point in April, preferably by mid-April, you're going to pot up anything that needs it. And what that means is you're just taking a little seedling from a little thing of soil about that big and you're putting it in a bigger pot, because what it's going to do is its roots are going to sprawl out, and that's what you want. You want that little tiny little seedling to turn into a baby plant, almost like a teenager-ish, and its roots are going to spread and they're going to circle that bigger pot. And in the amount of time that it's in that pot, you begin liquid fertilizing and you begin having some fan wind action so its stem can get stronger, and it really just begins to blossom into like an individual plant at that point. And so you want to do that in mid-April, so that by the time the first or second week of May rolls around, your seedlings are individually stronger, like they're almost ready to go outside, because come May everything's going to be ready weather-wise to go outside. So you want your plants to be ready and strong and independent and have a strong stalk and all those beautiful things. And so in order to get there in time, you want to pot them up by mid-April, because my preference is when I pot something up, I'm not moving it from that soil for at least 2 weeks. Whether it's something I plan to pot up again into something bigger, or I'm going to transplant it outside. I want to leave it alone for 2 weeks, because anytime you move a seedling, you're causing it stress. So it needs time to like rebound, settle in, get happy, and grow some more. And that takes time. And so I like to give it at least 2 weeks. So do that. Say that you don't get around to potting up your seedlings until the end of April, which honestly is probably what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make a mental note, as well as a note in my notebook, that I don't need to transplant these guys outside until mid-second, third week of May, my preference, because I know if I give it that time and I start my liquid fertilizer and stuff, it's going to have much greater odds of success. So that's what I'm here for. I want to have some success in the garden and grow some awesome food and veggies. So anyways, I hope this was helpful for you this April. I hope that wherever you're at in the US or Zone 7 or wherever, that you're having a beautiful day, a beautiful spring. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to continue to get in on all the garden goodies. It's windy here if you can't tell. Can't wait to come to you guys sooner with more like in the garden activity. Can you see my cat right there laying on the barbecue grill? He's like, there he is. Right there. Look at his leg hanging down like this big old fat cat, Mr. King. We only ever have male cats, and they all have king energy. Like, it's so ridiculous and precious. I love it. So anyways, hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are. Grow food.